Well, hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream and another chapter working on that guy right there. That is our F-18 Super Hornet 148 scale by Hasegawa. Run the intro. We get started. Okay guys, we're back and we're going to continue on this. The first thing I want to mention is after getting the cockpit assembled last time, right away I thought to myself, I got no seat belts on the seats. There's no seat belts on these at all. Why? Because, well, Hasegawa designed the kit for you to put the pilots in there. The pilot and the Rio. No, they're not Rios. What are they? Wizzos. Wizzos, yeah. Anyway, they designed the kit so that you put them in there, and so you don't have seat belts because, well, the seat belts would be draped over the pilots, right? Makes sense. So I immediately ripped the seats out of the thing. About like maybe 2 minutes after I finished recording, I realized I'm gonna 3D print some seats for this thing, and so I gotta rip these out before the glue really cures in there. And so I 3D printed some seats and I painted them, and they're ready to go in. I'll change the camera, you can have a look here. I'll also change my glasses while I'm at it. Here we are, and we have the kit seat, okay? So what I did is I took that kit seat and I measured it. I took a measurement from the top to the bottom here. I had a 3D file and I wanted to scale it so that it's going to fit. So originally I was going to scale it so it did that height there. And so I did that, and here's the result of that. And so we have a height that pretty much matches. But it's not, you see what it did in matching the height, I also needed to match the width. So if I scaled it to actually match the height on this, it would have been way too wide to fit in. So I need it only this wide. I need it to be that width. But in doing that, in making it the same width as that, and also the same height, it really elongated, you know, the top portion here. And it makes it really funny looking. And it just doesn't look right. So yeah, the detail's there, but it's not in the correct proportions. It just looks really stretched out and skinny, and it doesn't look right. It's just not right at all. So what I decided to do was scale it so it fits the width and just let the height be whatever it might be. And that's where we came up with this. Now of course I already have this painted so you get to see what we got going on here. Okay, and although it is a shorter seat, it's much shorter. But that is to scale in having the width correct. So the width is correct, our width is right, okay, in being able to fit in the actual kit. Boink. And so yeah, it's going to be a little bit shorter, but that's okay, really. It's better to be shorter than to be too wide. And I actually could have gone a little, maybe another millimeter wider, and that would have been fine, because the kit seat sits a lot more forward too when you have it scaled, but it doesn't really matter. So I just need to glue these two seats in. I have them both painted. They're both painted up with their seat belts on and everything like that, and so these are ready to go in. So that's what we're going to do now. Of course, these are resins, so these need to be glued in with CA glue. Let's move my engines out of the way here. I've got multiple projects going on here, guys. I always do. I always have, you know, the project I'm doing for you guys, and then my own personal thing. Always. Okay. So I'm going to use my CA glue here. Now these are basically just going to sit right down onto these two little, you know, raised portions inside there. So I'll just run some CA glue along there. And yes, they are going to go along the back there too. I'm just not sure exactly how, where and how it's going to line up. So we'll just kind of run a bead like this, knowing that it's going to get in there somewhere and have some contact. Just give this a little press down in there. And there we go. So one seat is in, even if it's not perfect. We should try and get it centered, right? Try and get that in the middle there. Give another press down. Fortunately, this CA glue, even though it is super thin, it used to dry extremely instantly. Because as it gets older, it's getting a little bit thicker. It takes a couple of seconds to dry now, which is going to work to my advantage here. So we have a nice big blob of it that I just put on there. See, I don't even have to panic about getting the seat sit in there, because I know the glue is going to take, you know, a few seconds to dry. So I got that little bit of a wiggle room to get this positioned where I need it. Kind of like that. We're off to the left, to the right a little bit. I don't like that. We want to be in the center. We also want our seats straight up and down. That is obviously an important thing. So there we go. Our seats are in. Our cockpit looks a little bit more detailed now, a little bit more realistic. So there we go. All right. And if for some reason I decide to build another F-18, I do have a pair of seats that I could use, even if they are a little bit long and skinny. Yeah. So there we go. So let's have a look at what is next in our steps. It looks like step two, well, you know, we're going to ignore the pilots here. Step 2 is putting together our front nose of the fuselage. So I kind of have them already off the sprues because I kind of primered them a little bit. So I have our three main pieces here. This is C14. I did do some primer on the inside of the our landing gear bay. So that's white in there like it should be. But we have this little detail, and we've got to get C17 off of the sprue, which means finding the C sprue. So grab the box C. There we go. That was easy enough. So our C sprue, 17 is our little iron block here. Well, held on by 3 points. They really wanted to make sure this doesn't go anywhere. So looking at how this mounts, the only nub I need to worry about is the nubs on on that edge there. So just clean that up. The other nubs aren't going to be in effect at all. So this is going to go like this, and our little mount is going to go in right there like that. Hey, she sits there all on her own. So I'm going to try not to spill my glue this time. You know, I was telling a friend of mine, I've been building models for years, and not once in my history of model building have I ever dumped my glue. And here I've done it twice in a week. So that's not good. Don't want to do that. So our cockpit is going to sit down on top of this and this. So it looks like my PVA glue did not hold my panel in. Let's close this glue. As I tip this over, my panel just fell off. It's like the PVA glue did not hold it at all. So let's grab the PVA again. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. We're going to go CA glue. I used PVA before, but we're going to use PVA. Sorry, I used PVA before, so it's proven to be unreliable in holding that down. So we're going to use CA glue. Now, I told you guys before, the CA glue, you know, you basically got one shot at this, and if it's wrong, well, that's too bad for you. And that really is the case with this stuff. But I already know it lines up and fits on there fine. Once you get it lined up, of course. It's got to go over that piece there. She don't want to sit on her in her home no more for some reason. I might have to break it. Ah, that's why. It was interfering with our other piece on the front here. It still is. I gotta pull this out. For this to sit flat. There we go. Okay. I have to re-glue this now onto the forward part. So, I was not expecting to have to re-glue my panels on. It's definitely not a plan for today, but knowing that these panels already fit where they're supposed to, I can get away with using CA glue. Little press to make sure it's flat on there. There we go. Okay. I am going to give this a little spray with the accelerator, just because I am kind of playing with it a little bit. I'll just move over here. I don't like spraying the accelerator because, well, like I just sprayed it all over the seat and everything, and I didn't need to. I don't need to spray it on the seat. But fortunately, it does dry with like no residue or anything like that. And it dries fairly quick. It'll dry in a minute or two. Okay, let's go back to our assembly here. So we have a rectangular little block here and two little things that should, in theory, line up nicely on there like that. Okay. So just to give me a little bit of softening of the plastic first in preparation for this. There we go. It also helps in holding it on. Now that I've softened the plastic, and it helps it so now it'll hold almost all by itself perfectly. I'm just going to give it a little more glue to make sure. There we go. Okay, so that's in. We're going to give this, before I really start playing around with our cockpit here and canopy and everything, I'm just going to let that sit for a minute, because our two side pieces here, yes, we could glue these together like this, and then maybe put the cockpit in, it's going to be easier, I think, to kind of slide this into position a little bit, like so, and then bring it up. That might be the best way to do. So maybe what I can do is glue these together first, and then put some tape on them. You really don't want to stand up, do you? There. I can glue this together first, I think. I think that's what I'm going to do. Glue it together first. Let's just do that. Underneath here too. And why not underneath here too? Get a good solid bond. Okay. That will hold for a second while I get some tape. I want that. They do have guide pins on there to help hold it, but they're not perfect guide pins, let's put it that way. And I want to go across here too. So in spite of the guide pins, you can get a bit of movement in them and have this not perfectly flat and flush. I am going to have to sand that down to get rid of that seam there because, well, that shouldn't be there. We don't want to keep that, that's for sure. Okay, so that's holding. Let's check this out. Well, just like I kind of test fitted before, we'll run this all the way up. The fit's not bad. I don't like that great big gap there. There's a big panel line there I don't like. But it kind of is what it is. I am going to get some more tape. To help me hold this in. I'm actually going to use multiple pieces here. You know, why you want multiple pieces? Well, just because I want one side to be able to line up and then use another piece for the other side. That. Okay. I got a little bit of a step here. I don't think I can cure. I'd have to like put a clamp on here or something and hold that down, but I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal. Ideally, I'd like to clamp right here to keep that flush because we can do a little bit of a flappy flap here, and that's no good. We don't want no flappy flap. Okay, I think it's glue time. Let's put some glue in the front here. And run a bead along here. I kind of have to hold this a little bit. She doesn't want to line up perfectly. She doesn't. No, she don't. She doesn't want to line up. I'd like to do just the edge. Clamp right on there. But I can't. Oh, I know what clamp I can use. I could just use one of these. right in the middle, just to keep that lined up flush there. That's pretty good. Okay, and you can see what it's doing to this side. But if I put another clamp there on this one, in theory, see, not much theory there, is there? Not much at all. Okay, we're going to hold it flush. I'm going to run some glue, put it in its place. And hold it for a sec. Hold it for a sec. Really doesn't want to stay flush at the back here. I just happen to have a gap, that's all. Yeah. Try this again. We're fine. We're kind of fine at the front here, but we're sticking out a little bit. I got a bit of a step here that doesn't seem to want to go away. Even with a clamp on it. It's like it's being held out by something. This is holding now. This side looks not bad. I've got a step out on the bottom here on this side. This can come off. So I want to add a little more glue to that side, and why not put it on this side too. I want that to be nice and strong. If I can get my glue brush down in here, that'd be great. And up at the nose here. There we go. Alright, so I think that's our front fuselage nose piece done. I'm going to have to do some sanding, maybe even put some putty on there to fill that line, that gap there on this side too. I kind of like have the opposite thing going on. This side I got a step on the upper side stepping out and right around here, and then on this side I got a step going out on the bottom side, but it's back here, it's not in the same spot. So this, I guess, moved in since I started talking. Okay, so there's our nose. We'll set that down. Put that down here and we'll see what step 3 is. I think step 3 is dealing with some fuselage and wing things. Wing things. It sounds like a Windows font. I know it's wingdings, not wing things. Okay, so they say, please never cut the main wing parts when not bending it. What the heck does that supposed to mean? I'm not English very well. Okay, so we do have to take our wings and we have to cut them. We've got holes to drill into the bottom of the wings. And because I am going to be doing this in the folded wing position, so I've got cutting to do and I got drilling to do, and so that's what we're going to do. So let's start with B5 and B8. We'll start with one side and we'll see what's involved with that. So B tree, please. B tree would be our wings. Okay, flip her over so we can see the numbers. We need 5 and 8. This is number 5. And we need number 8 right beside it. All right. So, I don't see any flashing. We do have a little bit of our nub we got to clean up here on this edge. Make sure that's nice and clean and gone. Same thing on this wing. Nubs in the same spot. Okay, so which is the upper, which is the lower? Well, the ones with all the holes in it is going to be the lower half. So the question is, do I glue them together and then cut, or do I cut and then glue? It looks like they actually want us to cut this section completely off, right along here and right along here. I'm going to show you guys because it's going to be a little hard to see on the camera. Let's just take this. See this panel line right there? I think they got it described on this one too. Not quite. This not only helps you guys see what I'm supposed to do, but it helps me too. I don't know where I'm supposed to cut at the back part of this wing though. Okay. See, on the wing with the holes, it looks like they want me to cut a bend and then forward. Like this, come all the way back, and then cut all the way back to here or something like that. That's the way they kind of show it here. Let me bring this down so you can see. See, they kind of have the line going like this, and then cutting over, coming down, and then way back and doing that. So they kind of have it scribed here. They don't have it scribed all the way to the front. There's no scribe here, but they got the thing going all the way down here and then cutting over, and then you're on your own and you're guessing, unless this little tab is your indicator. But I do not know. I don't know. As for this side, this one's easy. We just cut straight here and straight here, and that's it. Now they do show this is the upper one. Or is it? We've got holes here. Why do we have holes in the top part of the wing? That is weird. Why do we have indents like we gotta drill holes? Anyway, I do know this is the top. I'm not drilling those holes out. Screw you. I'm not drilling those. It's this guy. Now they do show on the bottom here, they want me to drill these big 4 holes here. And drill this, take this big long section out. You guys see that? So our 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, those got to be drilled out, plus this great big rectangular section they want me to notch out. So I am a little wary about where I'm supposed to cut. I want to do this like last. I'll drill the holes. That's easy enough for me to do. Let's pick a drill bit that is going to be a reasonable size. I think I got one here. Even that's too small. Those are big. Don't drill that out. It's this guy here. I think that's going to be our size. Yeah, that's good. So we can use a pin vise. I said this before, every time I build a plane and I gotta drill holes in the wings, don't put your finger right on the other side of the bit, because when that goes through, you're gonna try to stab your finger. You'll be bleeding all over your model. So what I do is I do 2 fingers, and I have it so that when it pops through, it's gonna go through in between my fingers and not stab myself. Okay? And that way I can put pressure on the plastic without it bending. And now we're through. You see how it just went through in between my fingers, and there was no stabby. Everybody's happy. Okay. Drill that through. Feels like I'm almost there. There we go. And again, no stabby. We don't want no stabby. Go. And one more hole. Now these holes are obviously for the pylons, for our missiles and fuel tanks and all that good stuff. Now if you get a little bit of burring on this side, just turn the drill bit around, go in a little bit of an angle like that, and just drill it, and you'll get rid of your burrs very easily, like that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so our little rectangle here. I'll start with a knife, and I'll just kind of go towards the edges here, like this. Just keep going over and over and over. I'm not pressing too hard. I don't want to go crazy with it. Until I feel like it's about to go through. You can see it's being stressed, and that's why we got that white line there. This looks like it'll be, when it's done, be just wide enough for me to get my file in between, so I can file it to the proper size afterwards. Feels like one edge is already done. I'm already through on this and little spot there. Okay. So now let's work on our cross edge. Because the edge is so small for the knife to get through, it's going to be a little difficult to get that edge perfect. You know, the good thing is, whatever it is that's going into this slot is not going to be, it's not going to be noticeable if I don't have a absolutely perfect rectangle. It's not going to matter. Dig down a little bit. Let's see on this side how it looks. It's going to go the opposite way, kind of following the line, just to make sure I'm through. Again, I'm not pressing super hard. I just want to make sure I'm getting nice straight cuts. looks like we're through. Now what I want to do is split this. So I basically got two little sections here. The goal here, at least at first, is so I can get my nippers in the hole. And you go, what? You get your what in the what? I want to get my nippers in the hole. I want to be able to cut this and pry it back and get my nippers in there. So yes, it takes a little bit of work to get to this point. Now, there we go. That broke free. Perfect. Now I can just get in there and kind of create myself a little hole. Now I've got a hole to work with. I'll take this side and just kind of bend it in. I should be able to bend it in now. Ever so carefully. It's almost like we're not actually cut all the way through. There we go. That's bent up, and I go snip. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. We've got a hole now. And now I can kind of get in here and do a little work, do a little nipper work to get us to the edge. Now, I could have used a little razor saw. That's another tool you can use if you're more comfortable with that. And now to refine it, because this is nice and it's just wide enough, I can refine this with my file. And I can file to the edge that it needs to go to. And there we go. So I got a little bit of a burr going on here. I'll just kind of clean that up. Clean that up. Now, down the road, I'm not sure. See, we've got our rectangle done, right? She's not the prettiest thing, but it doesn't need to be. Let's flip the book over and see exactly what goes into those spots. Can we figure out what goes into those spots? Not on that page. Here we go. This pod goes in there. So that's going to be, looks like our C 8, 9, 10, and 11. Let's take a look at those. So let's say C 8, 9, 10, 11. There we go. So let's just put two together here. 8 and 9. All right. We'll assemble one. Well, actually, don't need to even assemble it. We just have the rectangular part on the one half. The other half doesn't have it. It doesn't have that little tab at all. So we don't even need to technically assemble these to see if it fits. So if it doesn't fit, that just means you need to adjust it. If you've got a great big gap, then obviously you made it too big. and my length is not quite what it needs to be. So let's see where I did not go long enough. It's right here. A little bit there. A little bit there. Do it enough until it goes in there. And it's a tight fit, but it's there. Okay? And you can see I do have a little bit. But when it's in there, you know, when this is painted, your little white stress is not going to be there, and yeah, it's not going to be that noticeable. So that's great. I am just going to make this a little bit better of a fit. Just run that a little bit more. Just so that when it comes time to actually put this in here, I don't have to press too hard. There we go. And it will hold by itself right now. Probably not when I got a missile on there and it weighs a little more, but that is good enough, and there's that. So I might as well, just so that I don't have to do it later, I might as well glue these two together now. Why not, right? I have them off the sprue, so might as well glue them together. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Okay. One pod done. All right, so with the drilling done on that, let's get to cutting. For this part, I think I do want to use a saw. I have a couple of different saws at my disposal, depending on what I need to do. Let me find my other saw here. Where is my other saw? My other saw is hiding. There it is. So I have this guy here. It's a Tamiya. Okay, I can use this blade, very aggressive. Or I can use one of their pin vise ones, or razor blade ones. These are smaller, much thinner, but they're also very much more flexible. So, but you can just run this along here like this and go very lightly and just very slowly and methodically cut through.
6.5 hours later.
All right, so that's done, and she's not exactly straight, but that's my own fault for not doing it correctly. This is the inside of the wing, so the visual aspects of how it looks on the inside are not important at all. It's how it looks on the outside that's important. And she should look straight, except for, of course, for that section. And whether or not I got to keep that little tiny lip there, I don't know if I need to keep that or not. We will determine that later. As far as this, that should be flush. Okay. Now, again, I don't know if I need this section at all. I have no idea. So I'm just trying to keep it nice. Continue on with this other little section here and cut that off. Bingo. Just like that. All right. Okay. So, now that we have our two halves cut off, and we have our little center section that, again, I don't know if I need this or not. Let's take a look at what our instructions say. We need to grab R18. R18. Let's take a look at that. Let's find our R tree. It's going to be one of our R's. Here's 18 right here, or is that 19? There's 18 right there. This little guy. There's number 18. All right. So, we are going to keep this piece. We're keeping this piece. It's got to be a filler in there. So this is going to go up. This basically, as this goes like this guy sits on top of it and goes like that. So if we have that like that, R18 is supposed to go in between them, I suppose, like this. Almost like it's too small to me. It's supposed to go like that, and then this goes like that. And then this just kind of sits on there. So I am happy that I did not destroy this thing, because this piece needs to get saved. So we're going to clean up his edges, at least his visible edge anyway, that we're going to see. We won't see the back of it because he'll be flush up against this like that. He's going to go like that. Okay. So this is kind of where I need to kind of just leave this like that for today. Although I'm not really going to leave it, I just need to leave you because I've got to get going out of here, and I have to focus on something else. So what I'm going to do is, off camera, I'm going to continue cutting this. I'll cut this off with my blade, and I'll do that for the other side also, just so I'm not boring you guys watching me do this 4 times, right? So you got the idea, you got the gist of it, and what needs to be done. So when we come back, I will have finished all the cutting, and pardon me, I will have put our 2 halves of each wing together. It very simply just goes on like this, just like that, and that's it. And that's how we do it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll get that done so that when I come back with you guys, it basically, that part will be done and it'll be all happy and good and stuff like that. Okay, so I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for joining me on this little adventure, and I guess we'll see you all in the next one.